Okay, we're fairly far along in the process of removing the first cylinder. This is the bucket curl cylinder here up on top of the boom arm, and started by removing the pin here. There had some lock rings on that I had to take off, and same up at the top. And then I used a strap and 2 pipe wrenches to get both of these hydraulic nuts off. That was quite the contraption, with a little wood block underneath for some leverage. And I did one pipe wrench on the nut, and another one here on the hose end, sticking out on both sides. One sticking out on this side, the other sticking out on that side. And then I did a strap, this same toe strap that I'm using for this job, and then I put this post underneath the arm to give it a little bit more leverage or more distance on the strap, and then I connected the strap on both ends of both wrenches and just tightened it down, and worked smarter, not harder, and that got those broken loose. And so now I'm just using the strap and just a metal rod here to get a grip, and this is just forcing the piston back up into the cylinder and helping to drain the hydraulic fluid, which, see if I can do this one-handed. I'm going to ratchet this and see if I can't get a little more hydraulic fluid out of there. Let's see, come on now, there we go. Yeah, so every time it clicks I get a little extra. It sounds wonderful too. Get a little extra hydraulic into the collection bin there, and it's just gonna do this. Piston's just gradually gonna come back up in the cylinder, and that hydraulic fluid will be in the bucket instead of inside the cylinder, because this thing weighs a ton as it is just empty. I mean, that's a freaking 1.5 inch, maybe 2-inch solid steel rod and a big steel housing, so might need an extra pair of hands just to get this thing off safely. And we keep going, click by click, bit by bit, and come on now. I'm gonna have to shorten this up here shortly because we're getting full here on this reel. We've still got a little ways to go. So anyway, come back here in a moment when we're done. Okay, finally got that piston all the way back up into the cylinder. We've got a fair bit of hydraulic fluid collected in the bottom there. It's more than it looks like. It's probably at least half a gallon. And running out of light, so I won't be able to record much more. But the next step in the process is to remove this little set screw right there with a little flathead, and then I'll get the big ass wrench over here on this. It's called a gland nut. I don't know if you can see that thin line here at the end of this cylinder, but that little skinny, maybe 3/8 of an inch thick cap, that's the gland nut. And if I can get that loosened while this is still on the backhoe, then I might go ahead and take the piston out so it's not quite so darn heavy for me to lift by myself. So anyway, gonna get on that, and then we'll be back, or if we run out of light, we'll do it in the morning. Okay, quickly running out of light, but I did get that gland nut loosened. You can see now there's a gap there, and I'll see if I can get that the rest of the way off now, but I won't go any further. We'll get some footage of it in the morning. I realized I've got a flash on my camera so I can do this at night, but yeah, I got the gland nut. Now you can see that thanks to the cars. I mean, there's my finger. Compared to my finger, it's about that big. That's as much as you can get on, but you can see a little dents I made from the big ass wrench. Tough Love is her name. And yeah, the threads got a little discoloration here, but I think that is going to be reusable. I don't think we'll need to replace that. Thank goodness, because those are not cheap. And so yeah, I think I'm gonna try to take this thing out of the cylinder now, and then we'll see if I can get it up on the bench, and then we'll get that cylinder inside after I knock the pin out. This is just I say a pin, but it's about, again, it's like 2 inches thick. Got the rings off of it, so it will just come out now. And yeah, so this is the first one, and so far so good, although I don't want to celebrate too soon because here comes the train. Screw me. I don't want to celebrate too soon because there's another really bad one inside that, well, it could be bad. I guess we'll see. Okay, here we are. The train finally went by. It only took me a minute to get that piston out of the cylinder. This is the one that I'm a little nervous about. It may not be that bad, but we'll see. That's an inch and, gosh, I think it's an inch and a half nut on the end. And it just needs to be, I've got a big steel bar that I'll put through that end of the piston and clamp it down so it keeps it in place. And so theoretically, if I can get this nut off, then all these different gaskets, inside and outside, there's inside and outside ones, will get replaced, and then that will hopefully fix the leaks. But we're at a stopping point for today, but I'll come back in the morning and start working on getting those, getting that apart. Okay, here it is the next morning, and I had to drive all over the place to find this 1.5 inch socket and corresponding breaker bar with a 3/4 inch drive. And in the night, I've had an epiphany. I think I will take this rod back out rather than getting a big vise set up and a metal rod through this hole here. I'll just put it back on the tractor, put the original pin back in, but flip this whole rod away from the cylinder, brace it up on a log or a post, and then use that to secure this so I can get that socket and a big cheater bar. And if that doesn't work, I'll get the strap on it and get some added leverage. But next thing we'll see is this out there on the tractor. You'll see what I mean in a sec. Okay, so here it is back on its original point with the pin in and supported with a post. And I'm going to get that big wrench on that nut, and we'll see if it'll just break with the cheater bar. If not, I'll get the strap out and put some real pressure on it. So we'll get that set up and then take a look. Okay, so there's that wrench set up with about 5 feet of cheater bar. I'm gonna hang on to the end of that and do a pull up, and if it breaks, awesome. Otherwise, we'll have to make up some sort of contraption. So we will see in just a moment. Well, that was anticlimactic. I thought I was going to have to do a lot more. I did put a significant amount of weight on it, but it did just break loose, and it is going to come right out. So yeah, no drama at all. I've seen some really crazy videos on YouTube of guys doing some wacky things with huge long cheater bars and standing on them and having multiple people. And at least for this one, thank goodness, we didn't have to resort to any of that nonsense. So we'll have this back on the bench and take it apart and see you in a sec. Okay, we're back out here at the bench. Oh, that's backlit too much. I don't know if y'all can see that. See if I can get up here. So this nut did come right off with that cheater bar, and looks like it's going to come right out. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to take these off and we'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to try this take 2. I moved it down here to a temporary table, just a welding table. some OSB clamps to it, so if we make a big mess, we won't be fussed about it. So the nuts come out. Don't want to lose the washer. Come on. There's that. Set it aside. Let's see if this guy will just pop right off. Oh, she's moving a little bit. I'd rather not have to hit it with a mallet. Come on now. Don't be shy. There it comes. Yeah. Okay, we'll give that a good cleaning. It's got a little bit of rust there, but that's really just superficial. And yeah, it's got those 3 gaskets on the outside. They're all partial gaskets. You can see they've got slots, a bit like piston rings, which is kind of what this is. It's a piston. All right, now the gland. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's just sliding off really easy. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, boy, that thing is in need of some new seals. But I'm going to get the camera out, take pictures of all of these so I know which one goes where. And then we'll get it apart, clean it up. This one's just for me. The shallow end goes outside. The deep end goes over the piston rod. Okay, I've got my wire wheel set up on the grinder for cleaning these guys up. I took off all the old seals and took pictures of everything step by step, because that's quite a mess of O-rings and seals and gaskets and spacers and all that sort of thing. So I should be able to get it back together step by step if I just go right back through those pictures one by one. But yeah, we'll take some time cleaning these up with the wire wheel and see what they look like here in a moment. Okay, these guys got a fairly thorough cleaning with the old wire wheel on the grinder. Clean up the surfaces as best they could. So we're going to go to putting the gaskets, the new ones, on. Only one I'm worried about is this opening right here. On top of this, right here, there's some marks from when I removed the seal, and it looks like there's some marks from last, maybe there's been seal repairs on this done before, and it looks like that gland nut is not made of very hard steel, so it's getting dinged up. And if that seal kit doesn't hold, I'm going to suspect that one right there. But I'll give these one more wipe down. We'll get some hydraulic fluid to put back on it and coat all the gaskets and rings and put it back together. Okay, so we have new seal kit on this. There's the washer for the nut, that big 1.5-inch nut. 4, not 3 rings on that, like I thought. And this one reassembled, cleaned up a bit. And if there's an issue with this kit, it will be right here on the top, this cleanup ring, because there's a little bit of damage on the inside of that I wasn't able to clean up. And the only hitch in this thing was that I had an extra ring, and after panicking there for a second and checking out the diagram here, there are multiple different pistons that this kit is supposed to fit, and so this was not needed on mine. So get these back on there and we'll see how she looks. Okay, the gland back on was a bear to get it on. I had to take this whole push rod, set it down on the ground, vertical, set this on top, give it a couple of whacks with the soft end of the hammer, But that's as it should be. If it wasn't a tight fit, it wouldn't make a good seal. So that's reassuring. So now I just need to put that bolt back in with that metal washer, which I popped off just while I was getting this back in. And as you can see there, it fits in, and there's some threads. Actually, I don't know if you can see that, but that's, yeah, see, yeah, there we go. So we're going to get that back in, and then we'll put her on. Okay, so I took off the cylinder off the boom and just scraped off the majority of the grime here on that nut. I'm going to take these hoses off, have them remade. They are quite worn, and you can see the wire sheathing. It's well beyond time to replace them. And these will get hose armor, which is like a wire wrap or some other metal encasing that'll protect the hose inside. So hopefully, once this rebuild kit goes in and the new hoses go on, hopefully this hydraulic cylinder at least will be worry-free. I'll be back in a sec when we get these off. Oh well, she's back on. Cylinder, piston. Hoses are not connected because I'm still going to be, or I should say I haven't ordered them yet, but I went ahead and installed this in place and labeled the hose connections so that I know which is which, so we get the right action when we hook them back up. But yeah, all in all, not too bad for that first one. Knock on wood, we don't have any really horrible ones, but if I get one that just will not come apart, I will take it into the experts as plan B. So next we're going to do these stabilizers, because that's what I've got parts for. So onward and upward. Okay, here we are on the second of two stabilizers that I've taken apart. The other one was sort of without incident. This one, I unfortunately broke the bin that was catching the fluid when I dropped the piston down into it. It cracked, broke the bottom, leaked all over the dirt. I've dug up as much as I can. When I get this all fixed, I'll come back with a backhoe and remove the rest of this dirt so it doesn't go down into the water supply. There must have been something fouling up the gland nut there, because it was just a absolute beast to get off. So I did eventually get it off, but this one takes the cake. I have a 2-inch socket here on this big nut, and there's my 5-foot breaker bar, and then another 3 feet of that. So probably shoot, what, yeah, maybe a total of 8 feet, and we'll see what gives first. I'm going to be careful though, of course, since I'm putting so much torque on this thing. So yeah, we'll be right back in a sec. Well, it's a miracle. The bolt did eventually give, but not before. I don't know if you can see it from this angle. Let's see if I can get from over here. We did bend this supposedly unbendable bar on this wrench. So yeah, that's a lot of torque. And I'm looking at the piston over there, and it is not looking very straight. So I don't know whether that was done. It must have been done inside this casing, so that may be why the gland didn't come off very easily. I've read that when those get bent, they're pretty bad. So anyway, we'll take it all apart and we'll see whether I have to buy a new piston.